very rough watching my kid go through that. And the thing I would talk to her about is being strong. And it's okay to have emotions and it's okay to cry. But remember, be strong and courageous. Just take these things on and kill it. You know what? You can take this from me. You can say this about me. You can talk crap to me or whatever, but you can't take my strength. You can't take what I've developed by being here with these people and, knowing that when I walked through the door, I would probably start crying, but it didn't shake them at all, and they gave me well, let's just hit it.
Yeah. Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. I am super excited about today's guest. Today we have Marcy Infante, who is a longtime client at Richardson Fit Body Bootcamp here in Texas. And Marcy has an amazing transformation story, both, mentally and physically, a mental and physical transformation that she has had over the last 5 years. And she's really going to dive into that today and share with us how Fit Body has changed her life. And again, not just her physical fitness, but her mental health as well. So welcome, Marcy.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sold. I'm so excited for this. I know I shared this before our episode together, but I really was inspired by your story. We chatted on the phone several months back, and you've just had some crazy, hard stuff happen in your life before finding Fit Body, and just to learn how you've changed and how you've grown in your journey since starting Fit Body in the last few years. So talk to us about how you found Fit Body in the beginning.
Well, my sister has done boot camps before, and she's always had a lot of results. And she's, I would always run. I was a runner. Just run. I never did anything with strength training or any of these things that they tell me to do every morning, and I would just run. I was a runner, but it started to I was noticing I might get a little smaller, but my sister has had a couple times where she got really into her boot camp and got in really good shape, muscle tone. I mean, arms getting thinner and places that you wouldn't think. So I was I had started running again, and I was just thinking, I've got to find something that is going to change me. And I've got to find something, because the running wasn't really doing it. And I was hearing people talking about their knees hurting, things so I was in a place where I was still dealing with so much grief. And I was still, struggling as a single mom to figure out how are we going to maintain our quality of life. All these things were going on. And I know that the endorphins are huge and important, but I would not find time to run and things like that. So I go, I'm just going to go to a boot camp. And I got on the computer and this one popped up and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 2 miles from my house. That's how much I run. Maybe I could run there and no.
Do the boot camp and then run home?
Yeah. I did that a couple times and it was crazy.
And the Texas heat. I mean, I'm here right now for the first time, and I think it's the heat index today is 115.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a little oven when you walk outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's
couldn't imagine running in
humid here as well. So anyway, but I just came in. They were at first. I was like, oh no, because I came in and did you can do a free session. I think I don't know if they still do that, but bring back the free session if you guys don't. But I came in and every person was so warm and just welcoming, and I was like, Large Marge is here. I was thinking when I got in here, it was going to be all, people in incredible,
really shape.
And I found the community here and everything. And so it's basically the internet is the answer to your question. And I kind of just said that, but I just went all over the place.
Yeah. So you briefly touched on, you had a lot going on in your life, and I know your personal story and what's happened over the years. And I think it would be impactful for our listeners to understand, just kind of what your life looked like at the time and the hesitation to start getting into boot camp, and the fact that you did take that time for yourself is incredible. So walk us back through, kind of what happened in your life at the time.
Well, Okay, so I got married and had a couple of daughters, and it was a pretty tumultuous relationship. And just with stressors of life and things, there became a lot of, verbal abuse toward me and emotional abuse. And um, when my second daughter, Finley, was 6 months old, things started to get like physical.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved him very much, but I was having all of these thoughts. What if he shoves, this happens and I die or something by accident? Like,
Yeah.
because I didn't think he wanted to kill me, but,
Right.
it's just
The heat of the
started
moment.
to get a little physical at times. And I didn't want my daughters seeing that.
Yeah.
And repeated asking, stop, it wouldn't change and stuff. So one night I just grabbed the girls and got out of there. And we ended up getting a divorce. And that was very rough because I'm one of those people that doesn't really believe in
Yeah.
divorce unless it's extenuating
Yeah.
circumstances. And so that was a very scary place to be.
Mm-hmm.
You've been with this person for so long, you have these two children, and I knew in my heart that the changes that needed to happen weren't going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm always forward thinking. I'm always looking,
Towards the future.
towards the future and what is this going to look like in this many years or this place. And it just, to me, after a lot of prayer and everything, this was the right decision.
Yeah.
So we got the divorce, and then I was in a very vulnerable place, and one of my best guy friends since I was like 17 was just always wanting to hang out and talk to me and all of these things. And, it was very flattering because the verbal abuse from the first one was very,
Yeah.
detrimental to me and made me feel very unattractive. And just because I have curves or just,
Yeah.
and so it started to make me like hate my body and everything. So when this friend who was good looking, started showing me attention and wanting to be around me and the girls and everything, I just jumped in.
Yeah.
And we got married like a year later.
Wow.
Yes. And despite knowing that person, I also know like everything he's been through. And I think sometimes the stuff of life can affect you, and the way that you treat those that you love and things like that. So
Definitely.
the girls and I moved from the house that we had lived in with their dad, and we moved to the house I grew up in. And my second ex, he and I were there with the girls, and we got married, and then I got pregnant and was so excited, and the girls were going to have a little brother, and it just, everything seemed really great. My mom got diagnosed with breast cancer during this pregnancy with my son, and that was something I tried not to give any, like, power to
Right.
over me because I was, nope,
Yeah.
everything's good, everything's great. And it turned out, that she got through it, and that was great. And there was this one day where I was just 9 months, 8 months pregnant, just driving down the road and saying, thank you, Lord, that our family dies at an old age. And thank you, God, that my mom's going to be okay and that everything's going to be great. And just thank you so much, and then take the girls home. And that Sunday, we had a birthday party next door to us. And so I'd got the girls matching swimsuits and wanted to, go over there and have fun with them and everything. And my husband had to leave and go to work, which we got in a fight about because we don't work on Sunday. And we were getting ready for the party, and out Finley, my second born, she was my mini me. I mean, all the wanted to put all my makeup on, the tutus, the sequins, and her sister's more of like a, like science and more of like tomboyish, gorgeous as well, but they were just both. I mean, Finley had this white hair and big blue eyes, and Collie's got these gorgeous amber eyes and long red hair. I mean, my girls were just both just gorgeous. And Finley came in and was like, I want my swimsuit, mama. Because I had just bought her a new one and she wanted to see what it would look like. And I was like, okay, I'll put it on you. And then gave her a hug, told her how much I loved her and how beautiful she was. And then she hopped off my lap and I was like, okay, go watch TV with Sissy for like 20 minutes and I'll come get y'all and we'll go next door. Mommy's going to get ready, you know. And I'm in there getting ready. I felt so enormous, 9 months pregnant, like, get this child out of me, And my eldest comes walking in and doesn't have her sister right behind her, which they were each other's shadow.
Yeah.
And I said, well, where's Sissy? And she said, I don't know where Sissy is. And man, my heart, everything sunk and just, I was like, what do you mean? And jump up and run through the house. And out of the corner of my eye, when I passed by the back glass doors, I could see something floating in the pool. And that was Finley. And she had just turned 3 and she was everything, And I have this, I'm like, I don't know what to,
Right.
You think you will die if something like that happens. I mean, that's how I felt. So I was like comatose even through having my son and everything, it was just
numb.
Yeah. And I very much, while trying to breastfeed and everything else, was just going to food, alcohol as my vices and not having an outlet of any kind. Like I'm great at working out and I love it. And I was an athlete growing up and stuff, but at this point, it's all I would ever do was run.
Right.
And so I was just miserable. I was a zombie for a very long time, but, tried to keep it together for my kids and tried, because I would die if it was just, that was my only kid.
Yeah.
But I kept fighting because I had these 2 little kids. And I fought and I fought and I fought through it. And all I started to hear from people was, you're so strong. You're so strong. I'm like, yeah, strong and enormous.
Yeah.
Like, because I was just eating and drinking and eating and drinking and, and it was just like, I'm just getting bigger. And I'm like, normally if I was getting bigger, I would go into a state of denial, like before any of this happened. It was like, oh, I'm okay. I'll get it off. This time it was like, I don't even give a, like, I know I'm big. I know I don't care. Like, I'm breathing. That's all that matters. I haven't offed myself because I lost my daughter.
Yeah.
I felt very much that it was my fault. I felt very much that shame.
Oh, definitely.
And stuff about it. And it was an accident, but it was, really hard.
Yeah.
And so at that point, my first husband we had just, every conversation was a battle, everything with him. At that point, we just kind of put our swords down for our one remaining child.
Yeah.
And we're able to communicate and we're able to, be at soccer games or plays or whatever it was. But I was still married to my second husband, Tim, the father of my son, Coit. And I'm trying to get through all this, like, grief.
Right.
I've had lost a grandparent. Yes. Okay. Well, and I had lost my cousin, to a brain aneurysm, but we were close, but not that close, I had never really gone through anything like I had told you.
Nothing could prepare you for that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And I'm just like, why 2 days ago am I thanking you, God, that our family like dies at old ages and, all of these things. And then this happens,
Right.
But moving forward, So I just kind of throw myself into work, kind of make myself go, and then bring my son and working for Co-Builders, which is our general contracting business. And then my husband starts to shifty. There's just things
Yeah.
happening and staying out way too late. All these different, all the signs that like something's going on.
Yeah.
And and I'm at home with my daughter and my son, who's an infant, by myself all the time. And I'm like, what is going on? And
Yeah.
turns out it was infidelity and, lying and all kinds of things. And I just, when I'm in this state of grief, how could you do that to me?
Right. How could you
How
deal with
could
more?
you not just want to be here with me and take care of me and allow me to just be this like drinker
Right.
and eater and
Right.
it affects relationships badly. And so that was about 6 months is when I discovered what he was doing, and it was unforgivable. And I mean, I forgive very quickly, very easily, but then sometimes I still harbored that anger
Yeah.
and stuff. So we tried to make it work, blah blah blah, moving forward, and I just couldn't
Yeah.
forget it. I just couldn't, the type of cheating that was
Yeah.
happening. So I just said, let's get divorced. I can't do this,
Yeah.
So we get a divorce, and I'm just, okay, I want to keep up my kids' quality of life, but I don't even want to go out front and kick a soccer ball with them right now. And I
Right.
love soccer, and I'm just trying to like put one foot in front of the other. And so there was about a year where I was saying, I'm never going to date again. I'm just going to become a really, really successful
Yeah.
designer. And I go back to college to get my second degree, and because I had taught for 15 years prior to this. And so I'm like, I'm just going to completely transform my life. I'm going to become this
Yeah.
badass businesswoman and just like provide everything for these kids and just
Do it all on your own.
kill it,
Yeah.
like just really just crush being this single mom that's like,
Yeah.
because I had all these opportunities with business and everything and I love interior design. I love designing buildings, all of that. So I, went full force, went back to school, but I was still enormous,
Mhm.
in my opinion. And started trying to run here and there, and it wasn't working. And then this is so funny. One of like a guy that I bought furniture from for one of a project or something was like hitting on me, and this is like a year after I divorced him, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Don't look at
like,
me.
Get out. Don't flirt with me, like get out of here. And please don't flirt with me looking like this, because this is not my normal self,
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, but it was flattering. And I thought, I do think that maybe I might want to date, but then I was like, ew, I don't want anybody. No, I'm not going to attract the right kind of person
Right.
looking like this. It's just not going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to attract someone that I would be settling for because they would be attracted to me in a physical state that's just, my mom always says, fat distorts beauty. So it takes it all away when you have all this fat, So that's a Karen, my
I
mom.
like the accent that you say it in.
Karen Co. She's the best, and she will tell you how it is. I knew that, and then one of my dad's best quotes ever is, men don't like fat. Like one time, like out of the blue to me and my sister, and we were both like, what in the world? Like,
Yeah.
Which sometimes you just have to take things, yeah, that's true, and
right.
realize it. So I was like, okay, I might want to date again. It's been a year, and so I just thought, well, I'm not going to want to attract someone with all of that. And then beyond that, but beyond everything else was not beyond that, but before that, preceding that was my love for these kids.
Right.
And that's all I wanted to do was be there for them.
Everything.
And have a great life with them and be able to, run outside and kick the soccer ball and throw a swimsuit on and jump in the pool and not be like, do we lift these gates up and make sure that no one can see me? It's very difficult when you think about, we want to go to the beach. And I'm like, oh God, can I get a cover up that will cover from my toes to here?
Yeah.
Like, And I wanted to be able to live the life with them that they deserve, you know. And at this point, I had, great relationships with both of my exes.
Yeah.
My first husband and I had started to become actual friends and have talks of, forgiving one another. And I would never go back with him, but
You're in a good place.
we were healing. We were healing the relationship for our eldest daughter, Collins. So every person that I would run into would give me a hug and say, "You're so strong. You're
Yeah.
so strong." And I would be like, "Yeah, I don't think I have a choice,
Yeah.
Everyone was always telling me that. And I was going, I really wish that like my outsides were matching, because I did start feeling strong and
Yeah.
empowered and
Right.
went back to school and I was getting it all, and I was having these good relationships with my ex-husbands and all the things that you want.
Right. You're making strides.
Yes. And I was like, okay, healing's starting to happen. It was about a year and a half, too, after Finley had passed. And I was like, and I would like to date again. And and I want my kids to have like all these things and be able to say, Mom, let's go on a jog or let's go on a bike ride. And me be like, okay, no problem. Let's go,
Right.
Let's do it. But it wasn't matching the way that who I felt like I was and the strength that I knew I had and the just tenacity to just keep going every day and persevere and just, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Wasn't matching up.
Yeah.
And I would go on runs and be like, oh my God, I'm going to die today. This is it.
Right.
Like it can't keep just running and running. So the thing that got me about Fit Body Boot Camp was like when I walked through the doors, the first thing up here that I read, it's so funny, but it was like the first thing that like
Popped out at you.
popped out at me from like all strong is the new skinny.
I love it. Yeah.
It's that one.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yes.
yes, because I've got big muscles and stuff, and like I
They're
like
in
that.
there.
Let's do it, And that was the first one that I read, and I was like, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's it. Strong is the new sexy, it should say. Anyway, so that kind of popped out at me, and Katie and Tom and Caitlin, who's my coach, they're just so engaging and they're so serious but fun and enjoyable to be around and talk to. And like my second session here, like Tom just came right up and was like, hey, like, nice to meet you, whatever, and I was just like, these people have something. There's something going on here.
Yeah.
And I want to be fit like this person. I mean, like when I see them, I'm like, I want to be fit like that. Like that person doesn't have to think twice about like, yeah, kids, let's get in the pool. Let me throw my swimsuit on, and or yeah, let's go for a walk. Let's go for your bike ride. Let's go for a 3-mile run. Like, and I just was thinking, I knew it. And I'm a very like, okay, whatever, about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I will,
Brush it
okay,
off.
I'll try it. But,
Right.
I just needed to get things equal. I needed the inside of me and this strength that I had developed and this courage and like our family Bible verses, be strong and courageous,
Yeah.
do not fear, God is always with you. He will always be with you. And so for me, the biggest thing about that was like, I am strong and courageous, but I don't feel that strength on the outside at all. And so
I think the way you describe your transformation with Fit Body is so unique because for a lot of people, they're missing that inner strength. Whereas you were like, I'm strong in here. Like I have been through some serious adversity in my life and I've persevered, like you mentioned, and it's made you stronger. But you were like, my outsides don't match my insides. Whereas a lot of people, they think, okay, if I could just work on my outsides, it's going to help me on the inside. And yours was really more from the inside out.
Yeah.
So it's very unique, and really thank you for sharing that story because I know that there's so many of our listeners that they're going through times in their life like this and they're like, how could I live another day? How could I put the next foot in front of the other? And you just continued to do that. But
Wow.
then not only did you continue to do that, but you saw areas of your life where there was still weakness, and you were willing to go in and improve that. And I think that is truly powerful. And
Well, the thing that was mind blowing to me was when I would come in, it would just do what they say, Marcy. Just shut your mind off.
right.
Don't be a you. That's what my first husband would always say. Don't be a you about it. And I was just like, I'm just going to do what they say. Just go in, do it, whatever. And I did. And I started seeing results in like 3 days. It was crazy. But I was like, is that really? Am I getting a gap between my thighs already? There's no possibility for that, is there? And I fell in love when I first started
Yeah.
in October of 21. And wonderful man, great guy, but lived in Virginia.
Oh.
And so all the traveling, everything,
Yeah.
we did it for a year or so, and it just wasn't going to work out. It just
Yeah.
wasn't. He needed to be by his children, and I'm not leaving Dallas. And we ended up breaking up beginning of November, and it was devastating. It was heartbreaking. And even like I remember the day after we broke up, I had just like tears, like I couldn't stop
Aw.
crying.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and Caitlin's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "We broke up."
Yeah.
And it was awful. And it was like, well, let's get going,
Yeah.
And it helped me to see that, like, what it's done for me internally. Like, you know what? You can take this from me. You can say this about me. You can talk crap to me or whatever, but you can't take my strength.
Yeah.
You can't take what I've developed by being here with these people, and knowing that when I walked through the door, I would probably start crying and say, "We broke up,"
Right.
but
Right.
it didn't shake them at all, and
Yeah.
they gave me well, let's just hit it,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's just keep going. And then week after that, my ex-father-in-law, who I loved very much, passed away.
Oh, wow.
And very close with my daughter, and it was very rough watching my kid go through that. And
Yeah.
the thing I would talk to her about is being strong, and it's okay to have emotions, and it's okay to cry, but
Right.
remember, be strong and courageous.
Mm-hmm.
Just take these things on and kill it.
Yeah.
And then in January, my daughter was with her dad, and by this time, he and I are best friends. I mean, we spent so much time together again as friends and co-parents and everything. And when I broke up with my boyfriend, he was just amazing and always there for us and hanging out, and we just had gotten back to such a good place of,
Yeah.
Family, not a normal family, but,
Right. Right.
And my daughter was with him, and he screamed, "Collie, help!" And he was upstairs taking a nap, and she was downstairs. And anyway, she ran up there, and man, this is like me talking to her about being strong all the time. This part really, like, got me. But she took a stool from her bathroom and to get to her daddy, beat through the middle of the door to get to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's strength right there. That's
Yeah.
that strength, And she called 911 and they took him to the hospital, and it was an aneurysm, and they could fix it where it was.
Mm.
So I had to watch my daughter go through so much, and like there would be mornings in that time where I was like, I just want to lay here and hold my kid and not even think about getting up. And those still happen, but I know that nope, I gotta go work out.
Yeah.
I gotta get up. I gotta, because that's one thing I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna lose my, physical fitness. I'm not gonna lose my team and family that I have here. So, and my daughter started wanting to like come with me and like watch us work out and stuff and everything. So, anyway, but I'm in love again. I don't know why that keeps happening to me. Problem.
Because you're a lovable person.
Just because now I'm so hot.
That's right. Because
it's the fit body. Get it going. No. So, yeah, but I'm in love and I am very happy and we're working through, like, me and the kids, getting through every hurdle, encouraging them constantly to be strong and just courageous and take things on and fight, because there are times when you're in that abyss, of grief and pain and we're not just our soul or our spirit or our mind or our hearts, we have a physical body to take care of.
Right.
So to be able to get through things and to be able to do anything in life, you got to have this or you're sayonara.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
but that was the part. It made it easier to get through those last few hard things.
Right.
But
yeah, because you had that solid foundation of taking care of you and you saw how that was affecting your life outside of boot camp. And, I'm going to ask you this question, and I know that I already know the answer, but like, what is your why that on those days where you do want to just lay in bed and just lay there? What is the thing that you're telling yourself, like, okay, this is why I got to get out of bed and I have to just show up for myself today and do this?
My children and them being able to look at me and be proud of me.
Right.
And know that my mom's insides match her outsides.
Yeah.
She's strong and doesn't just talk about it.
Right.
She's strong physically and everything. And being the example for them as they move through their lives.
Yeah.
You got to take, this world sucks and there are some hard, awful things that can happen.
Right.
And the last thing you want is to be out of shape and, not able to handle it.
Right, because you don't know when that
you have no idea
life-shaking event is going to happen.
Yep.
And something can be taken away from you in one split second, which far too well. And when you're taking care of yourself, when you're making yourself a priority and you're teaching that to your children, you're teaching that to those of you that are around you, you do feel like you can handle it more so than if you were not. Yeah. And it's never going to be a perfect time. Like, there's never going to be, okay, well, I can deal with this right now versus, maybe I couldn't have dealt with it back then. Like, there's never going to be a perfect time for anything like that to happen.
Being proactive rather than reactive.
Like,
make sure that when something comes, you at least have this.
Right.
You at least know that,
that you can do it.
That you've got this and you can do it. And it's in, like, all the words that they say in the workouts. It's in everything. Like, this... I don't know if all the fit body, I don't think any of them could be like mine. Sorry. Like, Katie and Tom are precious and amazing, but they are tough, and they're not going to get, if Katie's, and I'm starting to stop a push-up, or it's like, come on, Marcy! And I'm like, and then she'll say something that relates to me, but to everyone,
like, she's speaking to me. I'll do it.
Not easy. Life's not easy. Fight through it. And I'm like, that's freaking right.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I love that. Because sometimes I feel like even when I used to coach a lot on the mic, like Katie and Tom, and now when I'm attending a boot camp session, sometimes I feel like I'm in church. Yeah. Like, they're saying these things. I'm like, you're speaking to me today.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's just like a lot of like, you give yourself these 30 minutes.
Right.
You push it. You go harder than you think you can.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got so many excuses. It's insane. Well, I've got this tiny little pain on the back side of or no, girl, I'm not going to do that. I have a little tiny slight pain on the side of my heel. And it's like, what? No, you go.
Yeah, move on.
So.
Wow. Well, tell us about your results with FitBody. So since starting FitBody, what's your transformation been like?
Okay, hold on. I had my scan. Caitlin's like waiting at the door when I got here.
Oh, yes.
'Cause haven't
I
done
came
one
to
in
boot
a
camp
long
this
time. Hold on.
morning, and
I
Marcy
think
was
it's in here.
in the session that I took, and she was doing a total body scan before
I
we
haven't
started
done
our
it in
session.
forever, so I was like, oh my gosh, I get to do my scan. I'm so excited. I think it's that I've lost 40 pounds of fat.
Wow.
Like I've gained like all this muscle and I've
Yeah.
lost like all this fat. So
It's incredible.
anyway, but it was really like gonna have a party, like champagne going everywhere, like because I haven't done it. I haven't done a scan in a while.
Yeah,
So,
that's incredible.
and now I'm part of the 40-pound club.
That's awesome.
Get me up there.
So what would you tell somebody who has maybe had, some sort of adversity going on in their life, or they're currently dealing with something where they could easily just talk themselves out of coming to boot camp? What would you tell them? What would your words of encouragement be for them?
Just go.
Just go.
Just go.
Yeah.
Just go. You just got to start. You just got to do it. Just go. You're not going to lose anything. No one's going to like get in your face and like sit on your back and make you do push-up. Like it's the best thing in the world. Like people see like boot camp and it's like insanity workouts and stuff,
Right.
And anytime someone's like, well, should I go? And they talk about like, I'm like, well, they'll cater to that. Like they'll tell you like a level 1 that you can do if you have problems with that part of your body. They will make sure that like you're going to get in shape.
Right.
Tom will make sure that Tommy
Yeah.
will make sure that you're accommodated for, and the coaches are all on point. They all know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that is, I was so excited y'all were having your world conference because I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, they're going to come back with all kinds of cool I know
always.
it. I'm so
Always.
excited. Like, yeah, new setups or whatever. So anyway.
As a brand, we're always evolving and trying to add more to our locations to serve our members and our community.
And it's exciting.
It's always really fun for the members.
We're going to have a new deal today.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And then your like classic workouts, it's like, oh, it's a classic, like.
And then it kicks your butt.
Yeah. And then you're like,
oh.
yes, every single time I'm sweating.
Yeah.
To this day. And it's like almost been 2 years since I started, but I still am walking out dripping sweat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every day.
I love it. And that's the reason why I fell in love with FitBody, was that the workouts were different every day, that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So then I wouldn't make that excuse like, oh, well, tomorrow's a strength day. I'm feeling a little sore, so maybe I shouldn't go. Whereas now it's like I just show up and like it is what it is.
Just go.
Yeah, it is what it is that day.
They know that a lot of us go 6 days a week, so they're not going to try to like kill 2 like
muscle groups. Yeah,
2 days in a row. You got other ones. You got to get all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I love it. Well, Marcy, we talk on the podcast a lot about living a life beyond the scale and how your life is not defined by metrics. And I think you know better than a lot of people how, your life is never going to go how you planned. And your whole life is beyond the scale. Like nothing truly defines you like that scale does. And so what does living a life beyond the scale mean to you?
That is a question that my best friend Jessica would always tell me, like, don't worry about the scale, because I've gone down 3 clothing sizes.
Yeah.
And to me, I got 1 more till I'm where I really want to be. But the thing, it's right here, the strong. It's not about the scale.
Mm-hmm.
It is about the way you feel. It is about the way you feel in your clothing. It is about, I'm going to get this size 8 and try it on. I'm trying on a size 8, or I'm going to try the 6 today. And it's like, whoa, but it's knowing that like you feel good. And one thing my friend McKay always tells me, look, because she's always makeup, ready, workouts, everything, and it's like, exhausting, like sometimes to like, why are you always so ready? And she's like, girl, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you just kick ass at life. So it all goes together.
I love that.
on how you attack the world.
I love that so much. That's such a great ending note. Well, Marcy, I appreciate you sitting down with me today, sharing your story.
Of course.
I know our listeners are going to get so much value out of this episode together. Where can our listeners find you?
So when Finley passed, I was either going to like become a drug addict and die or something, or like, I don't know, the fears that when you're in that kind of grief, like what could happen to me, you know? So I decided to go to a canvas and paint. And so I've started an art business in addition to my interior design and working at our family business. My business is Angel Fin Designs, but the website is angelfinart.com. So you can go there and see some of the work I've done, and 25% of it goes to my ex-husband who passed away. He started a foundation called Finley's Grace. So 25% of my proceeds go to his foundation. Awesome. You can find that stuff there, and cobuildersinc.com is where our businesses.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marcy. And thank you for joining us for another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. As always, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Until next time, you guys.